Jazzcast Pros.
Hey there, my graceful grinders and totally uniquers. Welcome to another live recording of the Grace and Grind podcast. I'm your podcast host and executive coach, Dr. Pamela Brown-Grinion, President and Chief Protocol Officer of Totally Unique Educational Consultants. I'm so excited that you're joining me today. I don't know if you've noticed, but the Grace and Grind podcast have taken a shift, and we're now talking about inner healing, inner development, inner polishing, all the things that we need to be focusing on in our third and fourth quarters of our lives. Yes, let me tell you something. This is the best thing that I did for myself in my entire life. Because when I was not healed, oh my God, I was just awful. And I didn't know how awful I was until I was healed. And I know you guys heard me say that before, but that is the truth. You guys don't know how bad off you are, and you won't know until that healing, till you hit that certain level of inner healing and you feel wide open. When you can physically feel the emotional, physically feel that negative emotional stuff out of your soul. When you can physically feel the emotional stuff is gone out of your soul. It's a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful thing. Right. Healing equals freedom. Right, Wiser Now. That's exactly, you just summed it up. Healing equals freedom. Your internal freedom. And your external freedom cannot show up confidently and authentically if you don't have inner freedom. You can wear a mask. You can put on the facade. You can fake the funk. You can fake it till you make it. All those things. But trust me, we see you. We see you. People see you. Right? I did a great job at faking the funk and wearing the mask. But when I took the mask off and I got home, it wasn't pretty. It wasn't dressed up. Because you can't dress up the ugly on the inside. You can't. And I had to stop using the excuse that God is not through with me yet. He's not. But that can't be the excuse to stay stagnant. Can't be the excuse to stay stagnant. Okay, God isn't finished with any of us. But there's a part of the work that we have to do. You got to do the work intentionally. You got to go in there and face it. And because if you don't face it, you're going to keep telling yourself the lie. Because if it's not truth, it's the lie. You're going to keep living the lie out that this is happening right now. So that's why you have to go in and get it. All right, here we go. Questions. Mars, you ready for the questions? What in my life no longer aligns with my healing? Is it the way you do your rituals in the morning? Is it your routines? Is it your habits? Is it your beliefs? Is it your thoughts? What no longer aligns with your healing? Is it the company that you keep? Is it the places that you go? What no longer aligns with my healing? Be still, get quiet, and really get a true answer from yourself. And when you get the answers, don't ignore the answers. Don't try to talk the answers down. Don't try to tell yourself, oh no, that can't be. Yes, that's it. If your internal self is telling you that this is what does not align. Okay, Kathy said toxic people, had to cut them off from my mental health. Absolutely. What in my life no longer aligns with my healing? I mean, you have to answer that for yourself. You have to answer that. Number 2, what daily rituals nurture my calm, my clarity, and my confidence? For me, that was key. And the reason why confidence is in there is because I needed to build my confidence. That's what I needed to do. So I just made the assumption that other people may need to build those too. Because what I notice, and in my years of coaching, what I notice is when people have the unhealed little girl and little boy, that little girl and little boy is not confident. And so the adult does not know how to show up confidently. When you have the unhealed little girl and little boy still residing in you, and no one fed confidence in them when they were younger, that hinders you from becoming a confident adult until you go back and reparent yourself and fix those wounds, right? You have to go back and reparent yourself and tell yourself all the things, like right now as an adult, you have to speak to that little girl and little boy in you that did not get what they needed when they were hurting. I believe in you. You're worthy. I love you. You're beautiful. You are more than enough, right? You are more than enough. You have to be able to reparent the little girl and little boy in you that didn't get that. And only you know what you needed. If you needed a hug, give yourself a hug. If you needed compliments, give yourself compliments. Whatever you felt like you missed, you have to give it to yourself now. I also hurt a lot of people because I was damaged. Oh, girl, where my list at? Where is my list? I understand that like you would not believe. But you know what hurt me the most was knowing that I hurt my children. Because I was not healed, I couldn't parent the way that I should parent. That's my truth. I was aggressive. I was angry. I was mean sometimes because I wasn't even, it was just the way I was. And that, until my son did that and cowered, like he ducked when I raised my voice. That did something to me. And I changed. And I knew I had to change because I did not want my children growing up feeling about me the way I felt about my mother, because I knew the intensity of that. Me too. You understand. You understand. But now that we understand something else, that we have the power to control, we have the power to, that's right, Jesus, that's right. We have the power to control how our childhood experiences and traumatic things that happen show up in our lives today. We have the power to control how it impacts us, how much power we give it, how we respond to it. We don't have to be like that. But imagine if someone told us that when we were little girls and little boys, that I know you went through this, but I don't want you to fall into that rabbit hole because you feel like you got to be withdrawn because I haven't taught you how to manage your emotions. That's why I talk to my children about managing their emotions. Exactly. Now I encourage, uplift, and love others. That's where you have to do it from that space, but you can only do it when you're a healed person. That is why I come on here and I impart what I know, because I know a lot of people want to be unstuck, but don't know how to. Nobody wants to walk around trauma bound. Who wants to walk around feeling heavy with that load? Who wants to? But because you don't know how to get free from it, people just say, get over it. What? How? How do I get over it? That's why I come on here and I tell you how to get over it, because I know how to get over it. And too many people told me, Pam, get over it. Stop talking about it. You're this age, you're that age, you're still dwelling on the past. Get over the past. How? And are you over your past while you're telling me to just be over my, are you over yours? Right? So you can't just get over it. That's not real. That's not real. And if you don't know how to encourage somebody's heart with compassion and empathy, then just don't say anything at all. Because what that shows the person is you aren't over yours. Because if you were over yours, you would say, I want to help you get over yours. And let me tell you how I got over mine. All right. So don't listen to people that just tell you to get over it. My question to them is always this now. You know what? Are you over yours? And if not, let me help you. I can coach you through that for a small fee. Okay. Because this is my profession and this is what I do. And nobody does this better than me. I'm just saying, you will never find a better coach than me. Why? Because I'm not going to show up as I jumped out of the womb as Dr. Pam. Question number 3, where do I feel most emotionally supported and safe? And who do I feel most emotionally supported and safe with? So who and where do I feel most emotionally most emotionally supported and safe? Who and where? Who are your people? I told you yesterday, you got to have a community. You got to have a tribe. You got to have a circle. You have to. I hear you, babes, because somebody said to me, I know how you feel. Yeah. Yeah. Vita, don't listen to that foolishness. Don't listen to anybody telling you to get over it. You have to do the work. You can get over it. Understand, guys, you may not have put what you're feeling inside of you. Most times we didn't. Most times it's at the hands of somebody else, right? I've shared a lot of my childhood experiences with you guys. Just because it's there and someone else put it there, it doesn't remove your responsibility to remove it. It's your responsibility to make sure you're healthy and whole and to be able to identify, I'm safe now. That's not happening to me. Who and where do you feel most emotionally supported and safe? Because you should have somewhere you can turn. You should be able to tell someone, I'm not good. I'm not okay. Who's your people? Who's your person that you can go to and say, I'm not okay right now? And it's better to identify that person before you need that person. And make sure that person knows that you're my person. You're my person. Okay? Identify that person. Now, here's your call to action. This is what I want you to practice for the rest of the week. Establish one healing ritual to practice daily. It has to be something that nurtures your inner peace. It could be prayer, meditation, journaling, sitting still, stretching, sitting with a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, watching the sunset and the sunrise. Whatever your thing is that settles your spirit. I want you to commit to doing that every day. I told you guys what my morning ritual is. It's what I do, right? And I need to start back writing in my journal. I'm usually an at night journal writer. When I journal at night. After I have my pillow talk with myself, I journal at night. I love journaling my journey. And check this out, because I journaled my journey is how I came up with this. Because I went back into my old journal and when I went through my inner healing and I just went through everything. And I was like, oh my God, I forgot all about this. I was sitting here trying to create programs, and I pulled my journal out. And I have a lot of journals down here on my bottom shelf. I have a lot of journals. I pulled my journal out and I saw my complete thing of what I did to get myself on track with my inner healing. So journaling your journey is important. And when you go back and read that stuff, sometimes you're like, I can't believe I wrote that. I can't believe I went through that. I can't believe I did that. Right? When you go back and read things from years ago, it'll tell you some things about yourself. It'll remind you of what you've gone through and how strong you really are. And that's where you can pull out some of those victories. Remember, I told you to have 3 victories that you can recall in the face of adversity when you're facing your giants. You got to have those 3 things that you can say that you did. I overcame this, I overcame that, I overcame that. And because I did that, I know I can do this, right? When I go through and read my journal, it reaffirms for me that I'm quite resilient. I've learned to be quite resilient. And what I'm teaching you guys now is how to become resilient. But that can only come from dealing with what you haven't dealt with. Okay? You guys with me? All right. Let's get into number 7. You rise into conscious, intentional manhood and womanhood. The key word here being intentional. You rise into conscious. That means you're aware. That's your self-awareness. Intentional. So now imagine putting self-awareness and intentionality together. That's what this is. That's what you're rising into, because your self-awareness and your intentionality has married, and it's starting to produce a different inner child. That is so good right there. When your self-awareness and your intentionality marry, It creates a totally different inner child. It creates the healed inner child. The healed inner child is the one when you say go to bed and they go to bed. The unhealed inner child, when you say to go to bed, it rebels and it shows up, more vigorously. But when you put self-awareness together, when you understand what makes you tick and what makes you talk, and when it's ticking and talking, and you can suppress it, self-awareness. Intentionality is doing it on purpose, doing all of these things that you're learning on purpose so that you can hold on to the healing, so that your outer polish will hold. Okay? So that you're, correct. Isn't that good, girl? Isn't that good? Right? So that your outer polish can stick. It makes no sense to come to me and say, Pam, I want to go through well, first of all, it's not going to happen, because anybody that comes to me for etiquette classes know that we're doing the inner work and the outer work at the same time. You're going to have to finish and touch, right? We're going to do all that cutesy ootsy stuff, right? I'm going to get you all glammed up and all that. I'm going to do all of those things for you. I'm going to teach you how to walk, how to talk, how to present yourself, how to walk in a room, how to get rid of those negative words, all of that, how to set the table, how to eat properly, all those things. But you're also going to get this right here, because this is the part. This is the real work. How do you find your person if you're used to figuring things out alone? That's a very good question. Think about the people in your life that you have had conversations with and they haven't gone anywhere. Think about people that you might feel comfortable with. Okay? It could be your pastor. It could be a big brother in the church. It could be get yourself a mentor. Right? Get a mentor. Like I found a mentor. I didn't know this lady at all, right? I found a mentor on LinkedIn. I did not know her, but she did some of the things that I want to do. She's written a book. She started an organization. She has lots of followers. Like she's doing the daggone thing. She is doing it. And I reached out to her. I signed up for one of her programs and I reached out to her and I said, look, you've done that. I want to do that. How did you do that? And will you mentor me? And we talked for a while, and it was supposed to be a 15-minute session. We ended up talking for like an hour, and she said, sure, I'll mentor you. We clicked. So you have to, sometimes you got to step outside of who you know and go. Sometimes that's best when it's not someone that you know. I have multiple mentors, multiple, and not all of them know me intricately. And I have different mentors for different things. Or you can hire a coach like me and I can be your person, right? I can be your person. For real. Okay. So this is the embodiment stage. The moment you begin walking fully in the healed version of yourself, when you have risen into consciousness, that's your self-awareness. It's up there and you're intentional. You're able to become that totally unique, authentic version of your healed self and to the man and woman that you were designed and destined to be. We weren't designed and destined to be bogged down with the symptoms from our trauma. We weren't designed to be like that. We weren't designed to be like that. We weren't. God didn't design us to be jacked up. We can't do his work jacked up. We can't. You can't answer the call fully jacked up because you're not even thinking straight. Okay, let me talk about me. I couldn't answer the call jacked up because I couldn't think straight. I know that's not any of you on here. That's just me, right? I couldn't think straight. Let me tell y'all something. And I have crazy faith. I do. All right. And I grew up in church all of my life. When I tell you I've had seasons when I couldn't get a prayer through, I just couldn't feel. I couldn't get to that state. I was so bound internally, emotionally, that I just couldn't get that inner feeling that made me feel like I had that connection. I couldn't get there. I couldn't get there. Anybody else? Or is it just me? Is it just me? I couldn't get there. So you can't do the work that you're called to do, that you were destined to do, that you were ordained to do. You can't do it if you're bound. You can't do it properly. You can do it, okay? But you can't do it the way it should be done. We weren't designed to be trauma bound. When you're wounded, it's impossible to heal others. Girl, Connie said it's real. I call it Python syndrome. That's what I call it. That's what I went through. I went through seasons, multiple times, of Python syndrome where I couldn't feel, I couldn't think. I wasn't myself. I couldn't sleep right. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. I didn't give a okay. I couldn't pray. I couldn't get into my quiet space. I couldn't hear from God. And what's the first thing I thought? God, where are you? Like, where are you? Why? And it wasn't God. And I know it wasn't. It was me. It was me. It was all Pam. That's a real state. Python syndrome. And it's up to us to do what we need to do to loosen the grip of the python, those negative emotions, that negative emotional loop that we take ourselves on that causes us to behave in those familiar patterns that don't serve us. Somehow miracles happen and God moves us forward. Yeah, but it's not somehow, baby. You got to do the work. Yeah, God does. He does. He does sometimes free us up a little bit. He does. So that we can now open up and go inward and do the work. Donna said, absolutely. Yes, Connie, he does. But that's so you can finish and do the work. And again, remember, inner healing and deliverance is not the same thing. Okay? Because emotions and spirits, inner healing is for your emotions. Deliverance is for the spirits that came out of the emotions. I'm just saying, I'm not trying to tell nobody what to do, how to do it. I'm telling you what worked for me. Inner healing, yes, greatest thing I did for myself. But when I capped it off and went to the altar and put it for real before God and left it there, absolutely. I couldn't do this without God. I could not. Could I work on myself and do all those things? Absolutely. But did I still feel like I'm better? I felt better. I felt better, absolutely. But my soul didn't open up until I knew until those spirits were detached, until I had my altar call moments. Then that's when when I laid at the altar and I had my battle cry and I cried out to the Lord and said, help me. I've done my part. I've done all that I can do, all I know to do. Now I need you to go in and get the rest. That's the ultimate healing, right? The inner work that I did was great. I felt great. I didn't even know I could feel that much better. But baby, let me tell you something. When you add God into the mix, yeah, this is so good to me. When you rise into consciousness with intentionality and your manhood and womanhood, your healed ones start to rise up. This is the embodiment stage, the moment you begin walking fully in the healed version of yourself. Isn't that beautiful? When you begin to recognize that I'm walking in the healed version of myself. Now, what do you start doing? You start making decisions that honor your worth, your purpose, and your emotional truth. Your worth. Because that is the truth. Then you're able to make decisions that honor your worth. It's no longer based on the past. It's no longer based on how you used to see yourself, right? It's no longer seeing yourself like that. Now, for me, low self-esteem, low self-confidence, unworthy, unforgiveness, just people can see what happened to me on my face, all those things, right? I have loosed all of those things. I've released them. So now I walk in my empowered state, in my worthiness, in my purpose, in my purpose and my emotional truth. I don't live in the past. My emotional truth is about right now. That's why I didn't hang on to that pickup truck thing that came back to me 40 years later of what happened in a pickup truck. That's not happening right now. So I'm not going to make that my emotional truth. Why would I? Because it would come in and totally disrupt all the work that I've done. I don't have the capacity for that. I've worked too hard to become me. When I was jacked up emotionally, I tried college 3 different times and failed all 3 times and had to pay back the money because I got student loans or I didn't drop in enough time. So I ended up with judgments against me because I couldn't think. I could not think. As soon as I started working on me, and my girlfriend told me, Pam, just take one class at a time. Everybody around me, I was encouraging all of my mentees, people that I was coaching and training, everybody around me, they were getting degrees. I didn't even have a certificate in coaching. I had nothing, but God gave me this gift. This is a natural gift, talent, and ability that God gave me, right? All right. My wholeness. I'm clear. All right. So I lead my life with that clarity. I lead my life with compassion, not just for myself. I give compassion to others as well. Understand when I say I give compassion to myself first, because how can you give something that isn't familiar to you? When I was angry, I was familiar with anger. I gave that away. When I was unhealed, I knew what that was. I gave away all the unhealed emotions. But now that I am healed and I'm whole and I'm emotionally healthy, I'm emotionally mature, I lead in every capacity in my organizations, in my business, with my children, whichever way I'm a leader. With my grandchildren, I lead with clarity. I talk to my granddaughter like I'm talking to you. So any emotional wounds that may try to seep in, she's going to know we started at 3. She may not get it right now, but one day it'll kick in. She understands, she can rationalize it, she can verbalize it, but she doesn't fully understand because she doesn't have lived experiences really, right? At 5. You have some, because I had them at 5, at 6. I had lived experience at 6. She has some. She doesn't really know how they're going to impact her older. And so I'm trying to train her now how to handle her emotions now and not allow things to cripple her internally now. So you guys can't keep this stuff to yourself. You have to share this information and each one reach one, right? Your circle. You should be sharing this. Why? Because you don't know who needs what. The person that you withhold it from is the very person that may need it, probably more than you. Now, you step into the highest expression of who you were always meant to become. The highest expression, meaning it's not fallacy, it's not falsehood, it's not facade, it's not mask. It is the highest, truest, most authentic expression. There's no representation of your representative showing up in front of you. Why? Because you've shown up in the highest expression of who you are, in your healed self. You guys get that? You show up in the highest expression of your healed self. Okay? Now, reflection questions. And after we do the reflection questions, we are going to be done with today. And I'm going to see you guys tomorrow. All right? Question 1. How does my healed self show up today? How does my healed self show up today? We have vanquished the ghosts in the nursery. The ghosts that you have vanquished, you have some healing from them, right? It's impacting how you show up. How does your healed self show up today? Question number 2. What decisions align with my purpose and emotional integrity? What decisions align with my purpose and my emotional integrity? We talked a little bit about emotional integrity yesterday. That's doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do for yourself and for other people emotionally. right? So you're not lashing out. You're not reactive. You're not making poor choices because it serves you only or it doesn't serve them. We're not doing that. So what decisions align with my purpose and my emotional integrity? That's a very good question. Why? Because that reframes the past and the way you used to make decisions. It reframes that for you. And that's what we're doing. We're reframing and we're choosing how we're going to respond. What decisions align with my purpose and my emotional integrity? My purpose, Marseille, my purpose and my emotional integrity. What decisions align with my purpose and my emotional integrity? Okay. Question number 3. Where am I being called to lead myself more boldly? Now, if that's difficult for you, that's because you haven't gone inward deeper enough yet. Okay, because that comes from your internal self, right? When you're being called to something, that comes from your internal self. In other words, where is your internal compass leading you to be more bold, right? Where am I being called to lead myself more boldly? What is the tug? Okay, for me, it was this. I knew I was supposed to do this. I was called to do this. I was called to lead myself here to give this away to you. Where am I being called? What is it? Where is it? What is it that I'm supposed to be doing? We all have something that we know we're supposed to be doing. We all have something in us that we're supposed to be birthing out of us. A book, a program, a business, something. We all have something in us that will elevate us to the next level that we're supposed to do that we haven't done. What is that? What is that? Where are you being called to lead yourself more boldly? What is that thing that you know you're supposed to do and you haven't done it? Why? Fear. Why? Emotionally bound. Why? You may not know how to. All right, my graceful grinders and totally uniquers. I know you enjoyed this episode because I enjoyed recording it for you. Please join me on all of my social media platforms at I am DrPamala. That's I am Dr. Pamela. Now, you know what I'm going to say. I love you, love you, love you with my whole heart. I love you. I do. And you have the power to control how your trauma shows up in your life, how much power you give it, how you respond to it, and how it impacts you. You have the power to control. So embrace that and go and create your totally unique day on purpose. Until next time, ta-ta for now.